I am speechless. This episode of JJK entirely focused on one of the hardest hitting fights I've ever seen in all of the series thus far. From the composition, to the animation, to even the voice acting. This episode of Jujutsu Kaisen will easily go down in history as one of its finest ever, and for very good reasons. So in this video, let's break down the episode and much, much more. If you love Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, and One Piece, then subscribe and drop a like on the video. As well, I'll be covering the new episodes of Invincible as they drop, so don't miss it. Subscribe and drop a like, or I'll judo chop your head off your body. So we open the episode with Yuji witnessing one of the most horrifying sights I've seen in an anime, pure chaos, as transfigured humans feast upon humans. Thankfully though, Inumaki is here. I missed you so, my sweet, sweet Inumaki. This allows Yuji to head into the fray and face off against Choso in the train station. And wow. In this great shot as Yuji jumps down, Choso spots Yuji and the blood on his face contorts. So Yuji and Choso begin their crazy battle as the latter uses blood manipulation convergence, which looks so freaking good, BT dubs. And the way MAPPA animated the orb and Choso's hand made the scene look so dynamic, especially when they were rolling around. And I also love the blood red colors used to illuminate Choso and light blue to illuminate Yuji. It's red versus blue all over again. And in general, I love the way this technique is used, as it's basically, well, it compresses Choso's blood into this singular point, almost like a singularity, but not enough mass to collapse in on itself. However, it wouldn't be JJK if something wasn't layered on top of it, of course, which is when Choso uses his secret technique, piercing blood. This is even crazier, because it's taking that singular point of blood and then speeding it up to the speed of sound, which if you're not familiar is 343 meters a second, but Yuji, as you'd guess, is barely able to stop the attack. Trying to close the distance though, he immediately goes to attack himself. Also, wow, once again, the animation is just totally killer here throughout this, though I gotta say, I thought there would be more detail on the blood like there is in the manga, but it's no big because they do something really awesome with the blood later on. So as the battle continues on, in literally some of the most insane animation and art I've seen in this series yet, Choso once again uses convergence to compress his blood to use a blood beam, piercing blood, which is too fast for Yuji, only yielding a 50% rate of success, and he may or may not be able to avoid this attack because of that. In mere seconds, well, really was mere seconds, but it felt like forever in the best way possible, this animation was so fast, fluid, and yet at the same time you could articulate all of it. For such an overworked staff, they were able to pull this off and not just make it good enough, but make it one of the best singular sequences I've seen in a very long time, which is basically the trend for the rest of this entire episode. However, very clever for Yuji to do this. To help dictate the timing of when he fires his first shot, he starts to jump, which Choso thinks he's baiting him, so he fires his piercing blood. Yuji was right, and he blocked the shot and goes in to attack Choso. He figures out that the technique really only moves fast at the beginning, and as long as he dodges it, he will be able to get in close, which will allow him to turn the fight into really a fist fight, which is important because convergence is a long-range attack. However, despite Yuji being very smart and believing this, Choso surprises Yuji by using supernova in an incredibly animated sequence. The blood condensed by convergence is released and then shot in every direction like a buckshot. Choso then stabs Yuji's foot, but even then he is surprised when Yuji continues his attack on Choso. Yuji realizes that he needs to take out the orbs that Choso creates before using his blood beam, and right as that happens, he nearly fires without the blood orbs and instead closes in on Yuji, hitting him in the face with a huge uppercut to the chin. And wow, in a crazy moment, Choso uses piercing blood, point blank, forcing Yuji back and nearly killing him, but because he didn't focus enough, it wasn't the kill shot that he needed or wanted. Then finally, Mechamaru calls Yuji, wanting to know what is happening, and it turns out that this is the saving grace for Yuji in this fight. Mechamaru has been conserving energy as he still needs something to do, wonder what that could be, but as Choso observes confused, Mechamaru recognizes that he's a death painting, and so he tells Yuji he's using blood manipulation. And he knows this because of Noritoshi Kamo from episode 14 of season 1, if you remember correctly. This technique is a Kamo family mainstay as it has a perfect balance in combat, being able to be used in almost any situation. Really, it's the ultimate utility technique, the jack of all trades. Mechamaru, though, has a plan. Even though the plan has a low percentile chance of success, it's obviously better than dying, which is easily something Choso could do here to Yuji. So Yuji begins Mechamaru's plan and runs, as Choso believes that he'll hit a dead end anyways, yet is reminded that since he killed his brothers, he is no fool and doesn't let his guard down. And I like this. Akutami is really good in making characters not seem dumb. It's one of his strong suits. But despite that, Mechamaru taunts Choso, calling him a coward like his brothers. Ouch, that has to sting. And also, by the way, if you're wondering why I know all these details, I'm also a manga reader, so I'm filling in some of the stuff to make it seem a little bit more detailed. But this successfully angers Choso as he runs into the bathroom where Mechamaru once again taunts him, and so he destroys the puppets, which causes water to disperse from every source where water can be. And this plan was simply amazing, as Yuji, who was obviously hiding in a stall, comes from behind, attacks Choso, who slides back after dodging the attack, though he believes that this will be Yuji's last. So as he goes to use convergence, he realizes that the water has diluted the blood, which because of his technique makes it even easier for it to dilute than normal blood, making him unable to manipulate blood outside of his body. So he uses flowing red scale, stack, once again showing the sheer power and talent of Choso, controlling the blood within his body. Yuji at first doesn't quite get this, but they're fighting in close corners, which is exactly where he needs to be, and you just know this likely isn't going to go well for Yuji. As the water floods in the room, they continue their fight, just exchanging some incredibly hard-hitting physical blows that I felt the hits of, well, personally. Yuji is able to gain the upper hand, but just as soon as he does, Choso uses his strength to flick a small blood meteorite hidden within his hand. It's like a hardened, coagulated meteorite of blood straight into Yuji's liver. After this, Choso basically coagulates all of his blood then into his, I think, right fist, because he can't use blood outside of his body. And so the two once again square off in an even faster fight than before, as some of their hits, because of the water, are sliding. They're sliding off of each other, as we see sparks of cursed energy fly off their fist, and some teeth as well. They're going to definitely need a dentist after this, but Choso uses Blood Blade, nearly stabs Yuji in the eye with a this glowing blood blade. It looks really cool, but it explodes in water, which Yuji is able to close his eyes just before that happened. But still, even then, Choso is able to land a hit on Yuji's eye. Moments later, his fist explodes with blood. I mean, the onslaught just continues as Yuji seemingly gets the upper hand and goes in for, of course, his signature attack. But Choso, in just a moment, blocks it and tears off with his fist a part of his right shoulder, as it's revealed that he's hardened his abdomen and coagulated his blood, ending Yuji Itadori's fight with Choso. And oh my god, I'm getting the vapors just from watching this. This was insane. As he then goes to finish Yuji off, we then see Sukuna in this illuminated red with piercing eyes, as it's revealed that he couldn't finish off Itadori, as he looks on horrified, seemingly at what he's likely just seen, which was Sukuna. But it's revealed, also in some killer animation, something that you'd see from like The Boys with Homelander freaking out, you know the meme? Choso does the same as memories flood his mind. Memories that didn't exist of Itadori being Choso's brother before, but now are there. Once again, using the technique of presenting it as a VHS with 4:3, 360p quality to give the effect that this happened long ago and is nostalgic. Even the audio, by the way, was compressed, exactly like what it would sound like in VHS or Betamax format, which was an extremely nice detail, and if you don't know what those are, you missed the fuck out. All of these memories begin to flood Choso's mind, and now he sees Yuji as his brother, which, as we know, Choso loves his brother. So does this mean that since Choso was injected with memories that didn't exist of Yuji being his brother by, I guess, Sukuna, that they're going to be on the same side now? Is Choso just going to escape the scene and really ignore that and try to gather his thoughts? What is going on here with Choso? This was an incredible way to end the fight because, I mean, he had Yuji dead to rights, and once again, it seems like Sukuna saved Yuji's life. Y'all, I've never said this before, but I demand it. I want to know what you thought about this episode in the comments below, but for me, this is the best fight in all of JJK. Better than Nobara and Yuji versus the brothers, better than Gojo versus Toji, better than that, and I think fairly easily too. I think what brought this over the edge for me was two things: clarity and composition. Clarity because I could articulate the entire fight just by looking at it. Barely any blurred frames or crazy unintelligible moments that seem unrealistic. This all felt like it could physically happen with their movements. The other aspect is composition because the lighting of this episode and the way they used the colors in it were simply unreal. Nothing I've ever seen before in an anime besides maybe Chainsaw Man, and this was even better than Chainsaw Man or even Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, which is a hard task to achieve. I think it's quite unarguable that this isn't just the greatest episode of JJK we've ever seen, at least from a pure spectacle and matchup perspective. Nothing quite compares. So let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments below and drop a like. This was a massive episode, so let's get those likes up for JJK hype and spread the good word. And if you like what I do here, financially support the channel to gain access to my mega One Piece arc reviews and first impressions. New video on Jaya is coming out tomorrow exclusively for patrons. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.